Keanu Reeves is one of those celebrity names that get the same reaction out of almost everyone. When you say the actor's name, people usually say something along the lines of, "Oh, I love Keanu Reeves, he's the best." Everybody you know either respects him a huge amount or has him listed as one of their celebrity crushes. But all the hype really gets you wondering, is he actually as incredible as we all think he is? What's it really like to work with him? If you've ever wanted to know the answer to that question, look no further. Here's what actors really think about working with Keanu Reeves. But first, let's talk a bit about how he got his start and how he rose to fame not once, but twice in his entire career. Here's everything you should know about Reeves. From a very young age, Reeves was moved around a lot. Since his dad left his family when the actor was just 3 years old, he stayed with his mother the majority of his childhood. Instead of asking where they lived in his early years, the better question would be where didn't they live? Because they were constantly moving around. Reeves' mother would marry a new man, move the family to be with him, and then divorce and remarry again, repeating the process. But although he grew up moving from place to place, most of his childhood was spent in Yorkville, an area of Toronto. He remembers living in Canada the most, and given the fact that he lived in all kinds of places at a super young age before moving to Canada, it makes sense that he would remember the previous cities like Sydney, Australia, and New York City, to name a few, much less. Anyway, things really started to change for him when he moved to America with a green card. To this day, Keanu still only has Canadian citizenship, but he currently still lives in Los Angeles. So he moved to LA at the age of 20 to pursue an acting career, which may make you wonder, what was his first role, and how long did it take him to find success? Well, his first role was actually from when he was in Canada, about a year or two before he moved to Los Angeles. He performed in a few different productions, including a CBC television show called Going Great, a show for Canadian teens in the late 80s. While this is technically his very first official role, he also performed in a number of local plays and productions before leaving Canada. And he even starred in a Coca-Cola commercial. Pretty cool, huh? But by the time 1986 rolled around, Reeves was getting a few more established roles since moving to America. However, it would be a little while before he finally got to have his big break. If you're a seasoned fan of the actor, you probably know what's coming: the golden age of Keanu Reeves. Starting with the classic Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in 1989. This was essentially his breakout role, and the movie landed him front and center in Hollywood. He was thrust into the spotlight for the very first time at the young age of 22. But little did he know, things could only go up from here. Just a few years later, Bill and Ted would return for the sequel film in 1991.
We can't forget to do this, otherwise it won't happen. But it did happen. Hey, it was me who stole my dad's keys.
Exactly, Ted.
Bill and Ted's bogus journey would only bring more and more attention to Keanu throughout the promotion of the film. Both the Bill and Ted films did incredibly well at the box office, and things were only going up, with films like My Own Private Idaho and Point Break seeing Reeves star alongside the 90s biggest stars, River Phoenix, Winona Ryder, and Patrick Swayze, to name a few. But throughout the mid to late 90s, Reeves would also star in a number of bad films. This was when things started to die down for him a bit. Almost every role he took, he received a ton of criticism for being miscast, overacting, or in one case, having a terrible fake British accent. Although this was a bit of a rough period for him, his career was far from over. He still had 2 more major franchises to star in after all. In 1999, Reeves would star in the legendary sci-fi film The Matrix. This is one of his most acclaimed roles to date, and by far his most impressionable. As we all know, The Matrix quickly became a cult classic. Winning a ton of awards, and Reeves' performance especially was critically acclaimed. This quickly put him back on top, and his reputation as an actor was saved. I should mention that during his drought of starring in bad movies, Keanu actually performed in a band of his own creation called Dogstar, which may come as a surprise to the younger generation of fans. But anyway, things quickly died down for Reeves after the hype for The Matrix. He continued to act, but most of his roles completely flopped. That was until John Wick in 2014. The John Wick series of films had Keanu Reeves skyrocketing to stardom once again. Fans of his 1990s roles were super excited to see him get even more recognition. Not to mention, he finally got to star in movies that were actually good.
John Wick, the man, the myth, the legend. You're not very good at retiring.
I'm working on it.
and that's pretty much it. That's how Reeves managed to make it into mainstream pop culture with not one, not two, but 3 major film franchises. Everything I've mentioned so far is a basic outline of his journey from a new actor to a complete superstar. But you may be wondering, throughout his career, Reeves has starred in a number of different genres of films, from big-budget Hollywood gold mines to complete box office failures. He's really done it all. But what does he really like to work with? It's really interesting how after all this time acting, he still maintained the same reputation. He's just a really nice guy. So what's he really like? Well, over the years, there have been plenty of actors and people behind the scenes who aren't afraid to share their experiences with the actor.
Tell them all. Whoever comes, whoever it is.
Here's what they had to say, starting off with a handful of different film directors who were quick to sing Reeves' praises.
What's the Bob Fosse quote? You know, half of directing is coming up with really crazy ideas, and the other 50% is finding people crazy enough to pull them off. It starts with Keanu.
In an article from a few years ago, 7 different directors who have worked with him over the years came forward, and they all had a pretty similar story. Reeves was just a really great person to work with. He was kind and thoughtful, but not because he was sucking up or trying to win people over. He was just a genuinely nice person to work with. Even the director of the John Wick series came forward, saying that the main reason why the films are successful is because of the lead actor. And honestly, it's pretty true. Ask anyone who loves the John Wick series why they love it so much. They'll probably mention Reeves. This is the sentiment that director Chad Stahelski had to share with the interviewer back in the day. So, are you getting the idea yet? Keanu Reeves is just a generally pleasant person, someone you always want to have in your corner. Plus, despite what some may say, his performance really does carry the entire John Wick series.
I appreciate that. I'll try and do the same.
But in case you need more proof of Reeves' decency, here's some more. Another person close to Reeves who is quick to say how kind he is none other than his frequent collaborator, Winona Ryder. Apparently, during the filming of Dracula, director Francis Ford Coppola ordered Reeves to make Ryder cry by being mean to her. So what did Keanu do? He completely refused. And if that doesn't prove that he's really a decent guy, I don't know what will. Plus, Winona Ryder and Reeves have been close friends and frequent collaborators ever since they first met. Another piece of evidence I'll bring to your attention, Reeves has been known to carry financial burdens on set. For example, he's offered to take pay cuts so that a few different films could afford to hire more talent. If that wasn't generous enough, he also funneled his own money back into the Matrix franchise, so that the talent behind the scenes like costume designers and special effects artists could be paid more. Isn't that just so awesome? I feel like we hardly ever see world-famous actors like Keanu do so much for his fellow crew. So the general consensus seems to be that if you ever get the chance to work with Keanu Reeves, take it. He seems to be a really good guy, and insider reports only add to that hype. So there you have it. That was what actors really think about working with Keanu Reeves.
I don't know. I mean, that's like the.
And will you
like
make
the
that?
creative act is something special.
It is,
It's
yeah.
like, you know, and it's storytelling and what would I do if I couldn't do that?
Yeah.